AM 1260 KLYC, I'm Dave Adams, and we are here in the Willamina area. There's a project that we've been talking about. It's called Wallace Bridge. It's a proposed international equestrian venue that, quite frankly, there's been a lot of discussion about this in the media for the last year and a half, 2 years. It would be an investment of $100 million, a $12 million annual payroll, 500 jobs ongoing, and 1,000 construction jobs. And there is an issue involving an easement for this project. And we had a long conversation with the National Resource Conservation Service yesterday about the reasons why they don't want to modify this easement. And with me right now is J.W. Mulligan, who is the proponent of Wallace Bridge. J.W., thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome.
So let's, first of all, for people who may have been living under a rock, I don't know what Wallace Bridge is, tell me what Wallace Bridge is.
Wallace Bridge is an international equestrian venue and resort. Probably it would be the top resort in North America for equestrian competitions from all the disciplines like hunter, jumper, dressage, riding, all those different disciplines you see in the Olympics.
This could be a significant economic boost to the area.
Huge. We had a study done by Eco Northwest, which is online, and the economic impact is equated to about 75% of what the wineries do in Yamhill County, 8 to 9% of all the economic activity into Portland, and I believe it could be actually substantially higher than that. What's different about this, we would have a payroll equivalent to Cascade Rolling Mills, but no one visits the Cascade Rolling Mills. It's the international tourists that would come here that would only come here because of that, and they would spend massive amounts of dollars. And an equestrian venue, people stay for weeks or months on end and shop in local stores, restaurants, and they come specifically for this. So it's the tourist impact of probably 100,000 or more unique visitors to Oregon that would have the big impact throughout Oregon, because equestrian participants, it's not like a football game where you come and you show up and you leave. You stay around, you have a competition, you go to the coast, you go to Portland, you come back. So the economic impact is quite large.
Now, I had a discussion with the National Resource Conservation Service yesterday. What I would like to see as a taxpayer is for NRCS to look at I'm going to talk about the issue here. It's involving an easement on a piece of land that is on the site of where you want to build Wallace Bridge. The concern I have as a taxpayer is that this land, of course, is in their purview because of conservation of the land, the birds, the wildlife, so on and so forth, for their betterment. And in fact, you're proposing to actually enhance that with your own money. The thing that I told NRCS was I wish the federal government would take a broader look at this, and instead of just lockstepping and saying, no, we're just going to deny it, take a look at its implications from an economic standpoint and from a conservation standpoint, and come to some kind of common ground here so this project does not go to another area. We have a county here, Polk County, which is looking at declining revenues to the sheriff's office. In fact, local residents there are told that sometimes the sheriff may not respond to crimes of violence because there's not enough people here. This county desperately needs jobs. And I, as a business owner in Yamhill County, would like to see this go here instead of some other city in the state of Oregon or in the Northwest. I think that would be a tragedy. So let's talk about the easement issue. What's the question here?
The question is, there is a permanent easement on the property that the taxpayers paid for 10 years ago. But there's also a process it's only willing buyer, willing seller. The NRCS has always wanted some of the surrounding land to add to the stream bank, and we proposed to add that. The easement right now, what we would have done, let's take the economics out of it. There's a process to modify an easement, and that process says that if it's advantageous to the United States and better for the species and adds ground and doesn't cost them anything, they're supposed to do it, and they're supposed to review that. We had it reviewed by 2 botanists, a peer review that we did not pay for by someone from the Nature Conservancy. We had one done by Eco Northwest, and the hearings officer for the Department of Ag said this substantially improved the situation for the NRCS and their easement, because right now 50% of it does not even qualify for the program. Now 80% would be. They would get an entire stream corridor They get the funds to restore it, and net, even without the jobs, the environment would be better. And they're required to review for that. But right up front, the NRCS office says, we're not going to do the law. We don't care about the law. Even though they promised that they'd review it, they said, we don't care. They never set foot on the property. They never reviewed the material. But net, their own hearings officer said that this was better for the environment, even without the jobs.
So you won, and then NRCS appealed your victory, and it was denied from the National Appellate Division, I guess.
National Appeals Division. In that decision, no one questioned the environmental benefits. We did not lose on the environment. What the hearings officer said is that no one has the right, not just me, not the owner of the property, not even the original owner, has the right to question a decision made by the NRCS, which seems somewhat unconstitutional to me. First of all, we were told a year and a half ago that we could appeal to the NRCS, and I wasted tons of money because I could not go to court. But basically, we lost because it says that U.S. citizens do not have a fundamental right to appeal any of their decisions. They are God.
One of the concerns I have with the NRCS is actually two pieces of paperwork here. Actually, three. I've through the free. You got this through the Freedom of Information Act, correct?
I had to fight several times to get that, the Freedom of Information information on their emails and stuff.
This is from Barry Williams to Bill White, NRCS Portland, saying that we are supposed to say no to modification requests unless there is a gross technical error in the survey. There's also a document here saying that they recognize your power of attorney to work with them on this easement, and it's on NRCS letterhead. But yet the NAD person who ruled on behalf of the NAD said that you did not have the authority or the position to appeal when the own document here from NRCS says that they're supposed to work with you on this project.
Right. It's, for the average citizen, there's a process. We believe in due process. We believe in fairness. We believe in openness and transparency. But we have an agency that started to say no before they even looked at the material. It's our policy. We don't want to do that. So I think maybe I should go down the highway at 100 miles an hour and, I don't want to go 55. That's basically what they've said. And then they sent us letters saying, yeah, we'll work with you. You have the right to do this. We'll look at all this. And then they turned around and didn't do anything.
And then you lost an appeal, and part of the appeal was a part of the decision, the last decision from NAD denying your project was that you did not have the position, or you did not legally have the position to talk on behalf of this project, when letterhead from here from the NRCS says that you do.
Right. We had indications from them, before when we started on this project, that we had the right to do that. We had the power of attorney. The owner underneath said we had to do it. And then to turn around and say that no one has the right to apply or appeal their decisions does not make any sense. That's why we would win if we went to court. The problem is we don't have unlimited time. We don't have unlimited money. And all they do is wear you down.
So it's essentially a situation of easements are, as we look at the paper trail here, essentially written in stone. Once an easement is put in effect, the federal government, National Resource Conservation Service, does not want to change it for any reason, and that was what was told to me on the telephone yesterday in our hour-long phone call.
But there is a process to modify, okay, and it's very clear. In addition, they have modified. They did it for a private landowner on a house site in California. He happened to be a very large union contractor. They did it in Montana after the governor and the very powerful senator got involved for a major coal company. And the coal company actually ruined a wetland. They've done it. They've destroyed things. They've actually done it across the country. But this is an agency that lacks discipline. It lacks findings of fact, and that ignores the law for their own benefit. And actually for their own benefit, in the long run, they're hurting their own program. They're hurting themselves.
Well, they've also made some easement modifications in a number of instances. One's for public safety, one is for safety of roads, taking bends out of roads. And in Mississippi, for the Mississippi sturgeon, they actually also modified an easement for that. My response to the NRCS is, okay, you did it for the fish in Mississippi. Why can't we do it here in Yamhill County? Because we desperately need these jobs.
Well, speaking of jobs, in Montana, they actually did it for jobs. They did it for the coal company. They tried to say it's for safety, which is baloney, because they wanted coal to go west. It has nothing to do with safety. They did it for the Indians in the area who wanted the jobs. They did it for the coal company that wanted the jobs, and they actually destroyed wetlands to do it. So they have done it for jobs. And compared to all modifications before, we hurt no environment. We protected all the sites. This is probably the most benign easement modification ever.
And when I talk to people on the street about this, they're wanting to know who's stopping this. And our response is the National Resource Conservation Service. So where are we with this project now? You've been approached by some other entities, other cities, other locations to take this project out of Yamhill County and take it somewhere else.
Yeah, the problem is you can only beat your head against a wall so long before you figure out that, the wall's not going to move. And I have until April 9th or 4th, somewhere like that, 9th, to appeal this, but that would cost a large amount of money, take about 2 years, and I could win but still lose. And we've been trying to look for alternatives because we will make Wallace Bridge happen, but it may not be here, and we've been approached outside the area to have discussions. It may not even be in Oregon, which is really bad. So we are looking at alternatives, but it may not be here.
So is there anything people can do? People listening to this broadcast are wondering, boy, I'd like a business here that is a $12 million plus annual payroll, 500 jobs and 1,000 construction jobs. I'd like my son or daughter to start swinging the hammer again. I'd like these jobs, especially if you're talking about improving the environment and having a win-win situation here. What do I do? I've had people respond to me that on the street in McMinnville yesterday when we talked to them about this project.
Call Senator Wyden. He has the power. It's up to him on whether he wants to use it or not. Senator Wyden, as you know, is head of one of the most powerful committees in the Senate, the most powerful. And his staff is aware of this, and he has the ability to make a difference like in Montana. So call Senator Wyden's office and ask him what they're doing, because their response to me was to take it to court, because the NRCS is very powerful. Last time I checked, the NRCS worked for the public, not the other way around.
Okay. What is the website people can go to? There's a lot of documentation on your website, past stories in the News Register, if they want to look up and see some of the items that we're talking about. What is your website?
Real easy, www.wallacebridge.com, and you can also link to the Facebook page from there and Twitter. And a lot of the news articles are there. Also on the Facebook page, there's an About page which has a summary of a lot of the documents. But everything, we believe in transparency and openness. Everything we've had is on that website under the news.
And if you go to our Facebook page, KLYC Radio, we're going to go out here in just a few moments and take some pictures of the property that we're talking about, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And we'll post that under our Facebook page. Go to our Facebook page. You'll see the land that we're talking about. Go and read the documentation. J.W. Mulligan has not bought any advertising on KLYC Radio. There's not any. We don't have a dog in the fight in as far as making money on this project. However, we as a radio station support economic development in Yamhill County. My wife and I have bought this radio station. We would like to be making it successful. We want to see this area grow. We don't want to see the environment sacrificed at the expense of jobs or for the sake of jobs. But at the same time, at the end of the day, everybody needs to pay their bills, including us. And we have a real problem with allowing a company or letting a company go with a $12 million plus payroll when they're trying desperately to get it located in our county, because we in this county can benefit. We as a small business could benefit. You as a listener can benefit. This economy can benefit. This is a clean industry with a lot of money to be spent locally. money that, quite frankly, folks, we need. Read the newspaper articles recently about Polk County, the dire straits the sheriff's office is in. We cannot afford to let business like this walk. Again, we're talking about a $12 million payroll, 500 jobs, 1,000 construction jobs. These are people we need to put to work. So I would encourage you to, again, look at the Wallace Bridge website. If you have any questions, we as a radio station are also interested in what you think. So email me, dave@klyc.us. Maybe you don't agree with what I'm saying. Tell me why. We just think that right now, with the current state of the economy in Yamhill County, we have a real hard time telling JW to take his horses and the equestrian and Wallace Bridge and go somewhere else. If the economy was in a better situation, then I wouldn't be as adamant about this as I am. But my wife and I plan to live here for a long time. We want to see this area prosper, not at the expense of the environment, but we want people to have jobs for various reasons, which I won't go into right now. Crime rate, quality of life, so on and so forth. At the end of the day, we all need a paycheck. We all need to pay our bills. This right now is a project that we simply cannot afford to let go without a fight. This radio station is on record as supporting this project. So we'd like to hear what you think. My email address is dave@klyc.us. JW, is anything you want to add?
You know, I really don't want to move from this area because I spent over 10 years looking for the ideal site. And this is it. I knew nothing about really Sheridan, Willamina, but I've grown to really love the people, the area. We have massive support. It's an ideal location. But these people are suffering. The bank closed. The grocery store went bankrupt. Businesses are having a hard time. And this is something that can change everything. And it's not only changed this area, but, you know, Bridge is part of the name. There's a disconnect in Oregon between rural and urban. There's a disconnect between haves and have-nots. Wallace Bridge can help change that, and it's something that will affect the entire state, if not the Northwest. So it's not just here, although it means a lot to this community and me.
All righty. We'd like to hear what you think. Dave@klyc.us. I'm Dave Adams. This is AM 1260 KLYC.